Hello and welcome. I'm Chayla Scott Weber, a Senior Program Officer with the OCLC Research Library Partnership. Today, I'll be introducing you to the set of communication tools that are included in our Total Cost of Stewardship tool suite. I'll give you a high-level overview of each tool and talk about how they can support communication and decision-making in your institution. The tool suite was developed by the Research Library Partnership's Collection Building and Operational Impacts Working Group, and was released as a part of a body of materials that responds to the ongoing challenge of descriptive backlogs in archives and special collections by connecting collection development decisions with stewardship responsibilities. The collection of materials published includes an OCLC research report, an annotated bibliography of related resources, and the Total Cost of Stewardship tool suite, which includes the set of communication tools we're talking about today, and a set of cost estimation tools. In the report that accompanies these tools, we offer up the idea of total cost of stewardship, which we define as all of the costs associated with building, managing, and caring for collections so they can be used by and useful to the public. Underlying the definition is the understanding that research libraries and cultural heritage institutions hold their archives and special collections in trust for the public, that we uphold a professional value of providing broad and equitable access to rare and unique collections, and the idea that for our collections to be truly valuable, they must be available for use. We also propose a total cost of stewardship framework, which is a holistic approach to understanding the resources needed to responsibly acquire and steward archives and special collections. The framework aims to bring together collection management and collection development considerations to support communication between colleagues in curatorial, administrative, and technical services roles, and ultimately to help you make informed, shared collection building decisions. There are 4 elements to the framework. It starts with documenting collecting priorities so that everyone is clear on what you want to collect. The next step is determining stewardship capacity so that you know the time, skills, and monetary resources you have available to allocate to collection needs, which supports activities to gather and share information about the impact an acquisition will have on repository staff and operations, and ultimately the ability to make decisions together that bring together a shared understanding about the value a collection might bring and the resources that will be necessary to realize that value. The communication tools presented here are intended to support this framework. You can see in this graphic that we've listed specific tools under each element of the framework. The 2 under the Determine Capacity element are cost estimation tools that we cover in other videos, which I encourage you to watch. Here, we will focus specifically on the communication tools. The communication tools are intended to operationalize the framework. They are designed to complement and be used in conjunction with each other. They are intended to be flexible and broadly applicable to many collecting institutions. An institution may use one or all of the tools as is most useful to their circumstances. There are 5 total templates, and we offer them in 2 formats. There's a PDF version that includes guidance for considerations for each template and offers links to examples from different institutions for similar kinds of tools. There's also a Word version that includes just the templates so that you may fill them out or customize them for use in your own institution. And they are customizable. The templates are maximal in nature and include many factors that may or may not be relevant in different collecting institutions. You will likely want to tailor them to fit your institutional needs, resources, priorities, and workflows. The examples we point to offer excellent illustrations of how the templates can be adapted to specific institutional contexts. Many of you already have existing policies or documents similar to the tools we outline here. You can use the templates and guidelines to create new documents or to review your existing policies to make sure they are supporting the kinds of communication and decision-making you want to enact. Each of the communication tools may be used iteratively throughout the acquisition process. They require input from multiple people and can be refined and updated at various stages as stakeholders learn more about collections and their operational impacts. In the following slides, I'll introduce you to each tool and its purpose, and provide a brief overview about how they might be used and the elements they consider. We start with the collection development policy. It supports the first step of the framework, documenting collecting priorities. It is a statement that outlines the collecting goals and methods of an archive or special collections repository. The collection development policy is foundational to the framework. It outlines and communicates collecting priorities so that everyone has a shared understanding of what they are. It can be used to help guide collecting decisions or to prioritize resources devoted to collections once they've been acquired. It can also support consistent, careful communication with donors and other stakeholders. A strong collection development policy can be used to strengthen an acquisition proposal if you can show that a potential acquisition is strongly aligned with established collecting criteria. It can also support clear and consistent justification for refusing an acquisition that is out of scope or that you cannot adequately care for and do not want to acquire. Our template walks you through elements to consider in writing or revising a collecting policy, including the collecting mandate of the repository and the mission of the institution, background or history of the collection and its development over time, details about who the user communities are that the repository serves, information about the scope of collection, the strengths, areas of focus, current priorities, as well as gaps or weaknesses and limitations on what you don't collect. It also asks you to detail who is authorized to make collecting decisions for both acquisitions and deaccessions. Next up is our operational impact report, which supports the gather and share information element of the framework. It is a report that assesses and outlines the cost, time, labor, skills, and other resources that will need to be dedicated to a collection to steward it effectively and responsibly. It can help determine whether your institution has the capacity to undertake a collection or needs additional resources, skills, space, and capacity. This information can be helpful in making decisions about whether to acquire a collection, in project planning, grant writing, and making strategic staffing and budget decisions. It can also be useful when asking funders to consider supporting the processing of a collection or to communicate to donors the resources that you are committing to their collection. This report pulls together information about a collection that may be gathered on site visits or in pre-acquisition conversations with collection creators. It reports on the cost estimates for processing, cataloging, and digitizing collections, along with other impacts to institutional capacities and operations. This tool can be used on its own to communicate the resources required to undertake a project or accept a collection, or it can be used in conjunction with our next tool, the acquisition proposal form. The acquisition proposal supports the final element of the framework, make decisions together. It's a report that helps repositories make decisions about whether to acquire a collection. This report assesses both the research and institutional value of a given collection and the resources that would be required to acquire and steward it. It can provide resource allocators with the information they need to make an informed decision about whether a collection is worth acquiring, and if the repository has or can acquire the resources necessary to manage it. Again, this report pulls together information that may be gathered on site visits or in pre-acquisition conversations, along with the expert opinions on collection value and impacts from relevant staff members, and a report on the cost and impact estimates for processing, cataloging, and other collection stewardship needs. Those costs and capacity impacts can be reported using the operational impact report. Our next tool is the processing plan, which also supports the make decisions together element of the framework. It is a document that establishes what work will be done in arranging and describing an archival collection. A processing plan can be shared and discussed before a project begins to ensure that all stakeholders understand and agree on the processing actions that will be taken and ensure that those actions support the repository's mission and stated priorities. It supports informed communication between the processor, their supervisor, and curators or public service archivists who may have important knowledge about the collection, its creation, or its likely uses. It can also be used to inform cost estimates for budget planning or grant writing activities, or before a collection is acquired to set appropriate expectations with donors or resource allocators about work and time required to process a collection. When processing is complete, it can also serve as a record of the work done on a collection. The processing plan is an important tool for analyzing and communicating major arrangement, description, and appraisal decisions that a processor will take on a collection. It can include identifying likely series, determining processing levels, an assessment of the strengths of the collection, and how processing work will illuminate those strengths, and an estimation of the time and effort a collection will need and who will do that work. It can also record the significant appraisal and arrangement actions and decisions taken on a collection during processing. And last but not least, we have our digitization project assessment, which also supports the make decisions together element of the framework. It is a document that assesses the viability of a proposed digitization project. It can help develop and prioritize digitization projects, make sure that a project is aligned with institutional goals, and that all parties involved have a shared sense of the scope and purpose of the work and understand the resources required for success. An assessment can be used by whatever decision-making body approves and prioritizes digitization projects at your institution, as well as to prepare grant proposals or discuss costs with resource allocators or communicate with collection donors about the resources necessary to digitize their collection. Digitization projects often require time, resources, and expertise from multiple people or units, making it even more critical that all parties have a shared sense of purpose and understanding of responsibilities across a workflow. So this tool can serve just as much as a communication tool as it does a planning tool. Our digitization project proposal includes a number of elements that will likely need to come from multiple colleagues in your institution, including information about the scope of the project, a research and value analysis that assesses how the potential value of the project aligns with institutional priorities, a project needs and work analysis, not just of the digitization needs, but of the other technical, physical, and descriptive needs and how they align with institutional capacities, and assessment and recommendation. It concludes with a section for review and comments and an assessment of whether the project should move forward. That concludes our overview of the communication tools. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll use the communication tool templates and encourage you to check out the other resources in the tool suite. You can find all of the resources related to our total cost of stewardship work, including the full tool suite and other tutorial videos at this URL. Thank you.